everybody, it's Kay Rose, Red Tulip for Parkinson's Awareness, and today we are doing one of our Heroes in Bloom series with one of my good friends. This is KV, Kristi V, Indianapolis, Indiana. KV, thank you so much for being here today, sharing your story. We've had the privilege and honor to be friends for, gosh, how long have you been with Rocksteady?
8 years.
8 years, which is awesome. And in those years, I think because we're a similar age, we've just gotten to be good buddies. I think it doesn't help also that we both are fiery redheads, so we have a lot in common. So KV, thanks for being here. I want to talk a little bit about your story, backstory. She's a young onset person with Parkinson's disease who has some unique things going on in her life. So KV, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? When were you diagnosed? And let's get to know you a little bit.
Okay. My name is Kristi V, and I am 50 years old, 50. And I was diagnosed first in 2017 when I was 41. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and I moved to Indianapolis in 2010. Mm-hmm. And so I had been having symptoms for years, not realizing what they were. I thought they were stress-related. Lots of different things were happening, losing my balance, losing my motor skills. And most often when I was doing something else besides just sitting, I would tremor. Mm-hmm. So if I was concentrating on the computer or having a conversation or trying to read a book, I would have these involuntary movements in my legs and feet.
How old were you at that?
I was in my 36, 37.
Oh, wow.
So for several years, I had these just weird, annoying symptoms. And doctors told me that I maybe had essential tremor or just generalized anxiety disorder. And if anyone knows me, I'm pretty chill. So I don't have a ton of anxiety.
Yeah, she's pretty chill.
And so I knew there was something going on and I wasn't quite sure what it was. And my best friend, Jen, who's a nurse practitioner in Iowa, was visiting Indianapolis when I had moved into a new house. And we went for a walk and I was I had my arms pinned to my sides when I was walking. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you need to go to neurology.
Wow.
Because she had seen, she'd been working in the industry the healthcare industry for a long time. And when I first went to get diagnosed, I won't name the place that I went, but the experience was not great because the doctor that saw me put the little DBS device on the table. The very first thing he did, and he said,
"No way.
This part goes into your chest and this part goes into your brain." And I was like, what are you talking about?
Did he even say Parkinson's yet?
No.
What?
And so then I got a second opinion, which
you think?
Unfortunately, the second opinion was the same as the first opinion, but that doctor was a little bit better in terms of talking to me. But most of the people that I saw in trying to get diagnosed said, you're way too young. There's no way.
Yeah.
It's got to be stress. And super long story short, I was officially diagnosed in June of 2017, mm-hmm. and then got an official second opinion from a very profound Parkinson's researcher in Luxembourg in December of that same year.
So what went through your mind when you heard the word Parkinson's?
I wasn't shocked. I was relieved in a way that I had something to fight at that point.
Had you read about it in advance? Did you kind of suspect anything?
I knew there was something wrong, and I just wanted to have something to attribute all these symptoms to.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I didn't realize Parkinson's could affect people as young as I was, 41. Mm-hmm. But then after the doctor said that word, I was somewhat in denial, but at the same time also part of me was very relieved that I had something to research and something mm-hmm. to understand. I'm a very scientific, analytical background person. And then I could deep dive into the research and see what was going on.
I feel like I would have felt the same way. Like you have a label or you have something that now you can work towards something.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your scientific background.
So I have a master's degree in molecular biology, and I've worked in the biotech industry now for 27 years. And I work for a biotech company here in Indianapolis. And I just know a lot about how the body works and a lot about genetics, a lot about epigenetics. And when I was first researching Parkinson's, I was thinking, okay, genetic causes, right? Mm-hmm. trying to figure out what caused this, what happened in my life, or what predispositions did I have towards getting this disease. And I realized that through a lot of that research that I don't actually have any of the variants for Parkinson's. I have the kind of the normal.
You know that now for sure?
I do know that now.
Wow.
So I did the PD gene study
Yep.
and all of that. I have kind of the average risk, basically, that most people would have. Mm-hmm. So I don't have it. I don't have the dominant traits that would make it certain that I was going to get Parkinson's. And then I don't really have it in my family. I have some Alzheimer's stuff in my family. One of my cousins has MS, but I don't specifically have Parkinson's. And so I had, knowing what I know about the human body, I had started to research how, like, your health, your overall health status, and the stress exposures that you have, and the toxicity exposures that you have in your diet and your environment impact your health state. And that's when I started to really dig into, like, gut health and how that impacts Parkinson's. I can remember when I was diagnosed, I was 2 days out from going on a cruise. And I was and I didn't tell anybody. So my best friend that was with me here in Indy, her name's Wendy Bass.
I've met Wendy. She's awesome.
Yeah, Wendy Bass. So I have two Wendy's. But Wendy Bass was one of the friends that I went on a cruise with. And I told her, and we just decided to have this cruise and just have fun. Mm-hmm. And then I came back and, like, started to dig in and deal with it with all of the research that I wanted to do.
A great outlook that you guys had. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you currently are not so how are you managing? I know you're not taking any or very little medication.
So I'm not taking the traditional cocktail. So
yeah.
I went into my doctor, who's actually about my same age, and said, look, dude, like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do the traditional way of treating this because I've done the research, and I just don't want to go down that same pathway because I know there are some other things I can do to try to manage my symptoms before I actually have to go down that road. Yeah. And I don't have any judgments towards people that do choose that. Yeah. It's just that it's a very, I think, antiquated approach that doesn't have a lot of funding, a lot of research, a lot of all the things that have been done to advance research have been done by foundations versus, like, you know, the actual dollars that are going towards funding the science in you know, NIH and CDC and all these other places. They're just not going towards diseases, especially for young onset. Yeah. And that's what I understood when I was in the research phase, is that everything out there is about people that are of retirement age and older. Mm-hmm. And as a woman who still was having, like, a menstrual cycle and all the things that come along with that, there were definitely things that I was experiencing that I think were unique to a young person having Parkinson's. So I went into that office visit and said, okay, what are my options? And he wrote down, like, 8 medications that he wanted me to take. And I said, you get to pick one. And I said, I'll only take one of those. Which one would you think I should take? And he chose Azilect, which is an MAOB, I believe an MAOB dopamine agonist. So it basically works with my body's ability to make its own dopamine and kind of, like,
to kind of preserve or help to preserve the dopamine that's still inside of you.
Yeah, and so I do take that. I don't even take that traditionally. Most people take that in the morning. I take mine at night. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It just works for me that way. But the other things that I do are a lot of mindfulness and meditation. And
I love that.
I do try to really eat a clean diet. I do that 80% of the time because you still have to live your life. So
80-20 rule.
80-20 rule. Try not to eat things that are inflammatory to the body very much, like highly overly processed foods, a lot of extra sugar, things like that. I also believe very strongly, for my personal case of Parkinson's, that a lot of my symptomology is rooted in some trapped trauma. Oh, wow. So trapped, like, emotion. I took care of my very sick mother, and I've been taking care of my dad, and just also things that happened when I was a really young child, and stuff like that. So I've also been doing some
Interesting.
different types of mental health therapies and also physical massage release techniques like myofascial release that, because I have a lot of holding and clenching and tightening and all of these things. And I feel like when I have an emotional release, all of my whole entire body relaxes for like days and weeks at a time. So I think that there's, I'm not here to knock anybody's pathway for how they deal with it.
Right.
But for me personally, these are things that I know have helped me.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And you also recently received a degree or you finished a degree in nutrition,
Yes.
Master's?
Yes. So I went back to school because of the fact that the dietary changes I was making were making a huge difference in how I felt. And I wanted to really understand to the point that I could teach someone else how that worked. So about 80 to 90% of the neurotransmitters in your brain are actually made in your small intestine.
Yeah.
And they travel to your brain via the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is part of the, I'm going to be nerdy for a second.
I love it.
Part of the parasympathetic nervous system, which happens to be sometimes affected by Parkinson's. So the things that are automatic, like breathing and swallowing and all of those things can sometimes be affected by Parkinson's. So the vagus nerve integrity basically gets compromised sometimes when you have Parkinson's. So that neurotransmitter production that you have in your small intestine sometimes has a harder time getting to the brain.
Right.
So I went back to school to get a master's in nutrition and integrative health. I focused in human clinical nutrition because while I still have a corporate job, I do have a dream one day of being able to do that someday and help people that have neurodegenerative disease understand what they should and shouldn't be eating. Because our brains crave dopamine, so a lot of people with Parkinson's want sugar all the time.
Yep.
And while it's fun to eat sugar, it's like one of the worst things we can do to ourselves.
Inflammation and all of it. Yeah. And the crashing.
So I would like to help educate, especially people that are young and not as tied to their habits, maybe, as some people that might be older.
That's a great point.
To be able to make some of those significant dietary changes that can actually change your experience from day to day.
And do you find it strange, not strange, but serendipitous that, do you think you ever would have went down this path had you not had this experience with Parkinson's?
Probably
was that something
not.
that you ever had thought about before you had this experience?
Not nutrition or being a nutritionist or being a coach people in their health and stuff like that.
She's really good at it, by the way. Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have any clients yet, or are you
still? So I soft launched that business a couple of years ago, and I have some people that I consult. I'm planning actually a relaunch of it this fall/winter because I think that there's a need out there, and I want to have an arm of it that is actually some sort of even outreach for people that don't know what to do, don't know how to do it, can't afford to go to a dietitian or get those resources. There's a lot of people that are DIYing their own health right now with ChatGPT. And that's fine and fun, and I've done it myself. But it's overwhelming. You can search the internet, and you get so many suggestions and so many things you could be doing that you can overwhelm your life. Because I did it. I had spreadsheets trying to figure out my symptoms and trying to track how much sleep I got versus how I felt the next day, and I was tracking everything. And then I just had to stop and flush everything out and say, okay, what am I doing today that's going to make me feel better tomorrow?
Yep.
And
so I know you have a heart, obviously, and a passion for helping people that have chronic illness now or neurodegenerative. Is it just going to be Parkinson's, or are you working?
No, I think it's just anybody who has this gut-brain axis issue. So it can impact people that have mental health issues. It can impact people that have chronic. If you have chronic gut issues, you do have chronic brain issues, even if you don't realize it. And so, just trying to help people understand that there's a huge connection between what you put in your body and how you feel.
I would think with the younger onset generation right now, there still doesn't seem to be a whole lot of resources out there when they get the disease. But what do you think that we can do better as a society to help preventative health, just instead of being so reactive to these diagnoses, be more proactive? And do you think that that's something in your position that somebody young onset who people would look up to, who are of a generation before you, Have you thought about doing some kind of proactive campaign as a young onset person to attract people that are maybe in their 20s, early 30s?
I've thought about that in the way of nutrition. I think there's sort of like two veins that I'd like to see change. One of them is the doctors that we go see. So the doctors are so traditionally trained in the conventional medicine way of dealing with Parkinson's, and a lot of them turn their noses up when you say to them that you want to try diet and exercise. And I think that we need more openness in the healthcare community and more awareness in general in the healthcare community that people that are young, I mean, even 20s and 30s are getting diagnosed. And that they need to treat this class of people differently than the people that are of retirement age or 65 or older, because it's a different set of things. I'm still taking care of aging parents. I still work full time. There's a lot of considerations that are not being made in the Parkinson's
Many people our age are raising children.
World that, we're juggling things that folks that have already been through this phase of life have already done. So I think that that's one thing I'd like to see change. And then secondarily, I would encourage groups like the Red Tulip to work with other Parkinson's foundations and Parkinson's nonprofits to help educate the people that are administering those programs to understand that education of the caregivers and the friends of the people that have Parkinson's is almost more important than educating the people with Parkinson's.
100%.
We know what we're dealing with. The caregivers and family members, they sometimes assume, or they don't really stop and try to understand because it's painful to understand, or I'm not really sure why they don't try to understand. But my family is wonderful. I love my family, but they still don't demonstrate to me that they understand or that they've researched it even. And
you're such a strong person and such a strong advocate for your own health, and I would think they probably might assume like she's got it.
That's exactly what it is. It's not because they don't care, but I think that the more information we can give to the people that surround the Parkinson's community that love us, the better supported we will feel.
That's something that the Red Tulip talks about often is, they say there's 1.1 million people just in the United States that have Parkinson's disease. But that doesn't include the spouse and the children and the workforce and the aunts and the cousins and the friends. And so you're talking about this one person with Parkinson's effect. Well, there's this huge ripple effect that Parkinson's is affecting. So now you're talking, 5-6 million people who are affected on a daily basis by Parkinson's disease. And there needs to be more. That's exactly what we're trying to do is bring that awareness out as this disease is going to explode in the coming decades. And so I appreciate you saying that. And the other part of what we want to do is tell the stories of the young onset folks, because I've been in the Parkinson's industry as a professional for 20 years, and it wasn't really until about when you came on board when I really started to see a consistency in young onset people. Mm-hmm. When we first started Rock Steady Boxing, I remember the youngest guy I ever met, Jimmy Klinger. He's still around, but he was 28 years old. And couldn't believe it. But there were a couple of people in their, maybe early 50s, but it seemed like we would meet people later that came to the program who were closeted or isolated themselves, who had actually had Parkinson's in their 40s, but didn't want to go out in public until the symptoms got so severe. And I remember meeting you. I taught your first class, and I remember we're 4 years apart, and so let's see, how old were we then? So
I was 41.
You were 41, so I was in my 36, 37, and I remember we were standing around the ring, and of course she's got bright red hair and freckles, and she's fiery, and I was like, this chick seems really cool. Sucks she has Parkinson's. I want to hang out. And we were doing a get to know you, and I don't remember what the question was, but you started telling a story about college and your friends, and it really resonated with me. Like it was such a near memory for you that nobody else was talking about their college days, but we still do. And I just thought, damn it, And
Yeah.
you've stuck around this whole time, but since you've been so consistent, there's been others in our age group that have been really consistent. And when I started, I was only 25 years old with Rocksteady. So to me, it was very much an old person's disease. And it was really around the time that you started that it hit me like, wow, this hits my peers too. And it meant something different.
I don't know if you remember, but I went to a Observa class before I participated, and it took me 6 months to come back. So I observed, didn't say anything to anybody, and then it took me 6 months to come back because I had that vision of, oh my gosh, this is not what I want to be part of. But then when I came back and had the courage to come back after that second opinion that I had in Europe, everyone remembered my name, and I was like, oh my gosh, this community is awesome. And then we went to breakfast, and nobody could cut their pancakes, and I was like, this is amazing. I love it so much. And so, like, it was just fun to find the people that still just got up every morning and said, I'm going to live my life, and this is not going to stop me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you obviously you've been fairly consistent with Rocksteady. You've had some setbacks health-wise.
Mainly my own family's health setbacks, which then caused me to have health setbacks myself. So yeah.
But you keep coming back, and I do want to touch on something that is unique for someone your age, and that's the fact that right now, currently, and for a lot of the time that I've known you, you've lived by yourself. You haven't had a consistent person in your life to help you through this. I know you have good friends and family, but how do you navigate being a person with Parkinson's for 9 years living on your own?
Well, I've learned to ask for help when I need it. I've also learned adaptive ways to do things. And interestingly, at the house that I just sold, I had all this like gear, right? I had a little walker next to the bed if I needed it. I had a thing in my bed to turn over more easily. I had things next to my bathtub and my shower and all that kind of stuff. And then I sold that house and moved into an apartment that has none of this stuff because I'm building a smaller, easier to manage place that's all on one floor. And I don't have any of that stuff, and I'm doing just fine, which is
really
an odd thing. Like, this is an exercise in me understanding myself a little bit better, that like sometimes it's easy when you have a diagnosis to not give life your all every day, especially when you get stressed out. And it's easier to just lean on the adaptive things that you have. But when you take some of that stuff away, I'm realizing the strength that I have.
So it's kind of like you don't have that crutch. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, and it's funny because
that's that feistiness I was talking about.
Yeah, that's the fiery redhead in me because I refuse to give up. But I think that I'm not afraid to need those things, but at the same time, I'm the person who somebody will offer me a hand and I'll be like, no, I got it, because I want to do things. I always say I want to move as much as I can for as long as I can, and I want to. My mom always said that when I was a kid, I said, I want to do it myself. And so, like, I guess I still haven't lost that.
Yeah,
so.
That's awesome. So can you talk a little bit more about exercise? And I know you're a huge component of dietary and holistic wellness and what you do spiritually, but can you talk about the physical, if any, that's come from your journey with Rocksteady and staying and keeping yourself moving?
Well, first of all, I think I want to raise awareness to something that I don't know that a lot of people understand, because they see Parkinson's as a tremor and maybe some stiffness and some movement issues and some walking challenges, but it's very painful, especially young onset Parkinson's, because if you can imagine a muscle contracting for hours and hours and hours at a time, and having a hard time relaxing it, that muscle is going to be sore. Yeah. And you haven't even really done anything yet for the day. Yeah. And so one of the things that I have learned the hard way is that if you don't move, the pain is worse. So if you can push yourself, if I can push myself to move on any given day, the stiffness is better. The pain is maybe temporarily worse because of the workouts, but I feel more loose and more agile afterwards. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, maybe it was just even last week, I walked into the gym and I was wilted because I work you know, 7 to 8 hours a day at a desk and
Yeah.
on a lot of back-to-back conference calls, and I don't move very much. And I really just wanted to go from my desk to the couch, but I went to the gym.
Good for you.
And the coach there was like, "You don't look so good today, girl." And I just admitted, I said, "I'm out of gas. There's nothing left in the tank right now." And I modified the workout as I needed to. And there was a point at which, because exercise releases dopamine and our brains need dopamine, there was a point at which something just clicked in my brain and I was sprinting. And it was like an hour after I couldn't barely put my gloves on. And it just like proves to me, and even last night at the gym, one of the gentlemen that we work out with had a hard time getting off the floor, and then at the end of it he was jogging. So
That's crazy,
just the
isn't it?
fact that our brains are so plastic and can like change and adapt to whatever
Like neuroplasticity in the
we
minute.
can,
Yeah.
like on demand.
On demand,
basically.
yeah.
And so the exercise piece to me, while I don't want to do it every day, I know that it is medicine more than any medicine that I've ever taken.
Yeah. That's awesome. And then, of course, let's talk about so we've covered a little bit of the health and wellness and the spiritual and the physical, but talk about the emotional effects of the camaraderie and the friendships that being in a community like this does for you and for your friends.
Well, I'll start by saying that, kind of twisting into the story a little bit, because at work, I'm a professional with a very kind of like high up there job. You know, I have a lot of people under me, a lot of managers. I have responsibility for about 40 some people at my job. And I feel like, you know, I have to be on and not tremoring and not
Right.
in a state of difficult movements while I'm working. And sometimes I feel that around, like out in public too, like if I'm getting out of the car too slowly or, you know, something like that. But finding a community of people that actually get it and you don't have to say anything is like finding a home, like a second home. And I love the meals that we go to after class, or even just in class. Somebody is having trouble with a push-up, so somebody just comes over and just like gets in your face and like encourages you. And it's not, most of the time it's not a coach. Most of the time it's somebody who also has Parkinson's. And so there's nothing like finding your people and having a bond with someone because you have a shared experience.
Yeah.
And then having a mutual respect and having this like cheerleader attitude, like you just want to see everybody win. And for me, to see somebody who I have a perception might have a more advanced disease progression than I do, kick my rear end running around the track, I'm like, oh no, you're not doing that to me. I'm getting after you, you know? So
But it's such a beautiful thing. There's no socioeconomical differences, you know,
Nothing.
it's
We're-
male, female,
Right.
or age differences. It's just like race, religion, like all of
Nothing.
that's, I mean, it's a common denominator
politics,
for every,
like
yeah.
all of it.
Don't-
None of it matters in
Yeah.
that gym.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things that it's a beautiful
Unfortunate
community.
equalizer.
Yeah, a beautiful community. In fact, I'm not sure if you'll want to cut this out or not, but I have this idea that I have had for a couple of years. You mentioned something earlier about would I have ever gone to school if I hadn't had Parkinson's? And there's so many things I would never have done if I didn't have Parkinson's. There's so many people I never would have met. So I've been wanting to collect stories from people
Yeah.
and put them together in a book and kind of make it like love letters to Parkinson's, like
Oh my
the
gosh.
things that you would never would have experienced that you're blessed by because you have this diagnosis.
That seems to be one of the most overwhelming statements, and we just attended the WPC, World Parkinson's Congress, last month, and can't tell you how many conversations I had with people who talked about that, the fact that in so many ways I feel blessed that I have Parkinson's because I would have never been in a place like this. I would have never had these friends. I would have never ran a Spartan race. I would have never climbed a mountain. And those are the kind of stories, as the communications director for Red Tulip, that I would like to capture also. So we can coordinate on that because as you're collecting stories and I'm collecting stories, we want to get videos out. Because other people in the world need to know what's still possible, and not everybody has access to programs like the Climb or Rocksteady Boxing or support groups. I mean, they're out on their own still.
Yeah.
And so with the invention or the avenue of social media that we have now at our fingertips, to be able to get these stories out, these connections is so important, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. So KV,
Yes, ma'am.
what has Parkinson's taught you?
It has taught me that life can surprise you in the best way when you stop limiting yourself with the thoughts that you have. Because
Did you practice that?
no,
Jeez, that's awesome.
Because I think that the only limitations that we have are up here.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we have physical limitations. Sometimes I can't button my shirt, but but at the same time, I always find a way.
Yeah.
My friends make so much fun of me because I have like 4,700 pairs of scissors because packaging is difficult for people with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And so I always have a pair of scissors ready to cut something open because you just adapt. It's taught me adaptability. It's taught me just because you can't do it the way you used to do it, there's a different way that you can still accomplish the same thing.
You can roll with the punches.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome, girl. What has Parkinson's not taken from you?
My joy, baby.
I love it, this girl.
You can't take that away.
No.
In fact, I think it's enhanced my sense of humor. Like, I make fun of myself all the time.
Mm-hmm. And how do your friends react to this? I mean, I've been around a lot of your friends, and they just seem, like it's almost like it's no big deal because you don't make a big deal out of it. How do your friends react when you have a bad day?
They kind of take direction from me a little bit. They definitely rally around me. They ask what I need. They try to inject humor into it. Some of our friend group were
That's your secret sauce.
Yeah, some of our friend group were trying to figure out what we're going to do for Halloween, and it's only July. And one guy was telling that he was going to be Jack Sparrow, and he needed someone to do his eyeliner. He's like, maybe not you.
I love
and
that.
And I was like, shut up, dude. And so
That's awesome.
But it just makes me laugh because it's like, yeah, you're absolutely on point. Like, I should not do your eyeliner.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yes.
So Kristi, what are you still fighting for?
I'm fighting for awareness, and for people to not see me as a different person because I have this disease diagnosis. I'm fighting for the fact that all the things I can do every day and not focusing on the things that are more difficult for me as the days go by. I really feel like I'm fighting for my identity to remain somebody who is a loving, giving, caring, funny, energetic person and not just a girl with Parkinson's.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Can I ask a personal question?
Sure.
When you're by yourself, for example, and you're out in public and you're having a bad day and maybe you're getting out, like you mentioned, you're getting out of the car slow or you're having trouble getting your wallet out of your purse, do you ever just tell someone, I have Parkinson's?
I don't always say Parkinson's. I sometimes say I have a movement issue or movement disorder. Bear with me, I'm going to be a little bit slow. And I'm always often surprised pleasantly with people who are like, take your time, it's totally fine.
Aww.
Or like, I didn't even notice you were being slow. So that tells me, I think that we as people who have this diagnosis are much more aware of what we are doing differently than the people around us. Because the truth is most people are not paying attention to anybody but themselves.
That's true. That is very true.
So I don't think that we need to be as self-conscious as we are.
Right. I guess I just asked that because I've been in public I have, unfortunately, too many friends with Parkinson's. And I find myself sticking up for people, my friends, if we're out walking or we're at a restaurant. And I observe other people observing my friend. I'm quick to kind of say, hey, he or she has got Parkinson's, to give them a minute. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But maybe I shouldn't interject or let it bother me so much. But when I see other people react, I'm like, I wish more people knew about this and just saw it and could recognize it. And I think that's what we're trying to do is to be patient, but is that wrong of me to feel that way?
I don't think so. We need advocates because we sometimes don't advocate for ourselves. I can remember I travel quite a bit for my job, my corporate job, and most of the time I don't say anything when people are trying to hurry me along or whatever, trying to get on planes. But sometimes when something hits the threshold and I get kind of sassy, I had to turn around because this guy was trying to like push me down the aisle of the airplane and try to get me like to sit in my seat so he could get by me. Wow. And I turned around and I said, dude, I have Parkinson's. I'm slow. Can you just back off a little bit? And he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. But
good for you.
It's just like one of those things where if you're around out and about in public and you experience somebody that's moving differently than you are or not hustling like you might be able to, just get over yourself and think that they might have something else going on that you don't know about.
Or jump to a conclusion that they're on some kind of a substance or impaired in some way. I've seen that too.
I also get like, well, you look fine. That's fine. Okay, thank you for telling me that. But, you know, sometimes you need to know that this disorder or this disease or this diagnosis can be hidden, especially in people with young onset. You look at me from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning every day, and you would never think that there was anything going on.
Really? That's a good functioning window for you?
I mean, most mornings, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, until I'm quick, I can open packages, I don't need my scissors.
Like, get it all done first thing in the morning.
And so then when the batteries start to run out a little bit, the symptoms come up. So just, I guess if I could say anything to people that don't have Parkinson's, it would be just, or any type of diagnosed disorder, just think about something other than your own experience when you're out in public.
Yeah, be patient.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the Red Tulip just for a minute because I know you've been involved. You're good friends. She trains with Anita Dust and Larry
I love Anita.
a couple times a day or a week.
We were attempting to jump rope last night. It was pretty funny.
So Kristi's good friends with our founders, Larry and Anita. They work out several days a week at Rocksteady Boxing. And so you've been kind of aware and seen this just journey that Anita has created and this movement that we're trying to push forward. How, I know you understand the symbol of the red tulip has been the symbol for the last 20 years, but nobody seems to recognize it. Our people in our gym, the people that we've been able to connect with, are finally understanding that this is a symbol that we want to unify the entire Parkinson's community with, without changing anybody's logos or anything that they're doing, just to say, wear the symbol to say that I'm a supporter of the Parkinson's community. Yeah. How would it make you feel if you started to see the symbol when you walked into a restaurant and there was a decal, or you saw... or a kid came up to you and said, red tulip, that means Parkinson's disease.
I get these things in my body called truth bumps. And when you just started talking about that, my whole body just went like goosebumpy. So that speaks for how it would feel. It would feel, in a weird way, proud, I guess, that the word is getting out there and people are understanding it more. Because I think even just having the word Parkinson's get out there, people still might make assumptions about what that means. And I think the more stories you can tell and the more awareness you can have about what's behind the tulip is, I think, super important.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, and that's the whole goal. I mean, everybody that is anybody, a sports team, has an ailment, has a lifestyle, is represented by a color or a flag, or to unify. I mean, I just think that speaks volumes for that community, and I hope that that's what we can do. It'd be so cool to see, the Indianapolis Colts wearing the red tulip on their
something.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I think that's where we can go with this, especially with so many professional athletes and celebrities that are unfortunately getting this disease. I was just diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. What's the first thing that you would say to me?
Don't panic. Your life is not over. Everyone is different in their journey, and you want to come hang out with me a little bit?
I don't have Parkinson's, but
yes. Those are the types of things that I would say, because there are a lot of moments that you feel very isolated when you're first diagnosed. And I think one of the very first things I would say to somebody, besides those reassurances, is get yourself to Rocksteady Boxing. Get yourself to a place where you can find community of people that know what you're going through, and do not isolate yourself.
Love it.
The hard times are fewer than the good times,
Oh,
and
wow.
I think that a lot of that has to do with mental attitude. And even in the hard times, if your mental state is in the right place, you can get through that. And so I guess the thing that I would want to say is, don't give up.
I love it. Well, KV, thank you always for sharing. And I have to say, you're just becoming one of my best friends in the world.
Oh, I love you.
And I knew that her voice was going to be important, so I hope this resonates. If you know somebody that has young onset Parkinson's disease, or anybody with Parkinson's disease, I think her words carry a lot of volume, very positive. She's just a very optimistic lady, and we're very honored that you were able to talk with us today.
Anytime.
Can I give you a hug?
Of course.
Okay.
If I can get out of this chair.
Do you need some help? Oh. I can do it myself.
I can do it myself.
Thank you, my friend.
Love you.
Love you too. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.